Hello, new second years. This is your level 5 summer homework. I'm Adam Guy, and I'm going to talk you through what you need to do to get you warmed up and ready for your first module, marketing and PR, with myself and Laura and a few externals coming in to give you some great lecturing on the subject. So you'll have to bring this in with you on the first week back, and we'll be looking at this stuff during sessions and your personal tutorials. So you've got to design a document in InDesign that houses your favourite or most disliked marketing campaign. You're going to do this in InDesign like you've done in modules throughout your first year, and it's going to be 1920 wide by 1080 high, and that's pixels. So what do you need to do? You're going to choose images and videos that are based around a campaign, an advertising campaign, a marketing campaign, some PR that you enjoyed or didn't particularly like, or it upset you, or you've heard of that it was magnificent or it went wrong. But you've got to pick one of those, and then you're going to summarize it within InDesign. And this can be screen grabs, downloaded films, and it should be a mixture of as much of the campaign as possible. So try and get pictures of billboards, posters, TV adverts, interactive elements, and try and screen grab, social media, Instagram posts, TikTok adverts, and so on and such like. And then you're going to lay those out on a page or a couple of pages within your InDesign document, and you're going to annotate them. So you're going to kind of deconstruct the adverts, looking at specific things and commenting on them. So you'll be summarising your thoughts on people's reactions or the reactions by the consumers. You don't need to write a lot for this, but you need to deconstruct your examples and use maybe short sentences or bullet points. Here's a few things to consider when you're deconstructing. So don't just open up the document and start typing blindly, because you'll go on forever, or at the worst you won't be able to think of things to write. So consider making your own versions of these. So what are you looking for when we're looking at marketing? We're looking at audience, we're looking at the consumer, we're looking at the point. Why did the brand need to sell it this way? Why did the brand choose this medium to sell it to the consumer? We're looking for impact, and you'll get statistics and impact from places like LSN, WGSN, Mintel, Protein, Deloitte, newspapers and academic papers. People will be discussing the impacts on marketing. On the flip side of that as well, we need to be looking at the art direction. Did the campaign use photography, illustration, live action, which live action means it has people in it? Was there music? Was there a voiceover? Was there text? Was there fonts? Was there logos, branding, colour, texture? What was the design hierarchy? Which means, was there big text in some places, small text in other places? Was there a formula on the billboard? Did you read something first, see the information second? All those kind of things that you can break down and write a few lines about, or just some bullet points. If it contained video, what was the location setting? Was it global? Was it very local? Was the music a particular style of music? Was it dance music, classical music? And sometimes with video, you'll notice that the pace varies, or it's fast or it's slow. What was the pace? What was the mood? And how did the campaign work across different mediums, such as online, TV, print, film, and etc.? We want you to look at how mediums and media is used to create those campaigns that you've chosen. I'm going to talk you through a few things that have influenced me, attracted me, made me notice and stand up and think, whoa, in the world of marketing and PR and advertising. And then I'm going to the end part. I'm going to come back to the brief, and I'm going to show you how to lay one of these out in an InDesign document to deconstruct them and show us the kind of thing that we're looking for. I'm going to start with a knife crime campaign, which was rather beautifully designed. And the campaign, I think at its heart, had the best interests of people, but it was disastrous because right from the get-go, it maybe if the people that commissioned it, which was the United Kingdom government, they would have noticed that it was stereotyping. Statistics were being bounced around that there was a rise in knife crime, and it was due to young black males being in gangs and so on and so forth. That was one element of the research, and another element of the research was actually saying that you've got more chance of being run over by a London bus than being stabbed by a young black man in London. But for various different reasons, the United Kingdom's government decided to run with this and release a campaign to try and prevent it and make people aware of the dangers of knife crime. So they used a stereotype, and the stereotype was that all young black men eat in chicken places like Dixie Chicken and KFC, which in itself is, can reasonably be considered as racist. And the idea of that was that when they're eating chicken, they open the box, and instead of it being branded with the typical paraphernalia associated with that, it has stories, true stories, from witnesses of knife crime. What happened was, the day that the Home Office tweeted their campaign to celebrate it, to get it out there, to try and make it known with hashtags and on various different social medias, it had an immediate backlash from the black community, and quite rightly so, with people commenting, it's embarrassing that this idea was ever put forward in the first place, and deeply terrifying that the Home Office is proud enough of this BS to tweet it in celebration. There is a national crisis in perception of black kids in urban areas, and this was one of thousands and thousands. David Lammy, the front bench Labour MP, said, "Is this some kind of joke? Why have you chosen chicken shops? What's next? Knife-free watermelons?" Diane Abbott, again a significantly important Labour Party member, instead of investing in public health approach to violent crime, the Home Office has opted for yet another crude, offensive and probably expensive campaign. They would be better to invest in our communities, not demonise them. I think Diane Abbott's tweet picks up on something, that when we're marketing and we're advertising things and we're writing slogans and we're thinking of art direction, we mustn't just go with the obvious or the cliched, or in this type stereotyping. We need to be much more intelligent and sensitive about things, and perhaps we could have invested in community more with good PR and good marketing in different ways, community-led events and pop-ups and activities and such like, and looked at the problem from a different perspective. Another sort of advert or campaign that resonates with me, but in a much more pleasurable way, was from around 2001, and it was an account that was taken over by the ad agency Mother to sort of sell, if you like, to market what is really powder, dried vegetables that you add water to make a drink or some kind of food. And it had a very boring set of campaigns up until this point. It was just sold on it was sold on the base that it's really super easy to make and it's convenient, but it didn't have any humour, and it lost its audience, it lost its consumer. The company Bachelors didn't know where to take it, so they approached this fresh new advertising company that were making groundbreaking work, who are now nearly 25 years old, but this is when they were setting out. So, essentially it's dried out ingredients, and we need to find an audience that wants to buy into that. So how do you do it? So rather than bore you with it, I'm going to show the advert.
Very good. Right over there. Marlow, red minestrone, mushroom, asparagus, leek of potatoes. I don't want to manual. I want asparagus.
There's There's a time and a place for copper soup, Richard. This is not it.
Two tomato and vegetable, please.
There's a time and a place for copper soup. This is not it.
Ridiculous adverts here. We've got two here, and they were spread out over radio. There was print campaign and various different mediums. But today I'm just going to show you the video, because they're, what are they? They're 21 years old, and getting hold of the print campaigns is quite difficult. But so what did Mother do? They took this brand, this product, and they put it into settings where you'll not normally see it, such as going to the opera. And in the interval at the opera, in your tuxedos and your posh ball gowns and so on and so forth, you'd probably have a glass of wine or a shot of some very expensive alcohol. And they made a ridiculous scenario out of it, using the cup of soup and water. And the same with the marathon, really. These are very typical shots of things like the Commonwealth Games or London Marathon, things that we see on the television and probably stuck somewhere in our subconscious. But we're all very familiar with the athletes drinking water along the way, and the idea of them actually putting a kettle on, boiling a cup of soup and drinking it as they go along. And the catchphrase actually at the end of these adverts was quite interesting. It was, there's a time and a place for a cup of soup, and this isn't one. So we've got a bit of copy, we've got a bit of live action, we've got a bit of drama, we've got a bit of fantasy, we've got a bit of surrealism, we've got a bit of realism as well. And it's all there because in the early noughties, there was a significant shift in advertising where humour played a big role, and it was very surreal humour in places where this probably wouldn't be quite as relevant, wouldn't be quite as well accepted. But at the time, these went down a storm, and Bachelors made some great money out of these adverts. I mean, to put it into perspective, in 2001, Mother were paid £5 million 21 years ago to make these adverts. So you can probably imagine the sales that came from this. So this is a different type of marketing. This is, I suppose it's similar in many ways, even though I've just said to you that kind of humour, that kind of abstract surrealism wouldn't work. This is still quite humorous, but actually it's also quite serious in some ways, and a bit moody and a bit edgy. And I think that's what takes the kind of takes it to the next level. But it's also about collaboration and name dropping and using people with established reputations to heighten your reputation as well. So this is an advert which is a collaboration between KFC, Crocs and MLMA, Me Love Me A Lot, a music artist. So this is the collaboration, really. An amazing music artist it's got like a 1.4 million followers, a sort of commercial but also underground and cool reputation, collabing by just being in the advert, not doing anything but being herself, and performing or underperforming actually in a kind of moody, cool way in the advert. With Crocs, love them or hate them, they come in and out of fashion. And KFC on Crocs, an incredible collaboration, because I think it disgusted some people. It put some people off, and some people really disliked it. Other people thought it was hilarious, and considerable amount of people bought them. And every time a Crocs KFC collaboration was bought, KFC donated more money to a charity. So there's lots of different things. There's cause marketing, there's name dropping, there's collaboration, there's a bit of fun, there's a bit of exposure in a way that isn't saying, hey, look at our brand, look at what we've done, we're great, we're technically good, we make amazingly cool stuff. It's actually producing something which is not something that the vast majority of us would be prepared to buy and wear, but maybe buy and collect, which is looking at the sort of market of drops and people like Supreme in the past who have led in that way.